that's true. Naked Palpatine.
Oh, you pick that one. Fresh out of the clone tank, nude Palpatine is my
Well, that's the first thing I think of when you say Dark Empire Palpatine. Welcome back to the Final Frontier. I guess that works. I don't have a codified intro yet for all this. But today for you, I have my first novel within the, I guess, alternate timeline of Star Trek, considering these books were never canon. Though this wouldn't really affect the timeline at all whatsoever, because this is in the Mirror Universe. I have for you Star Trek Mirror Empires, or Glass Empires, which is a collection of 3 short stories. The second one has been rendered kind of null and void because there was a full-on novel of the same name, about the same premise, dedicated to it, that's longer, more in-depth, and the only thing worth reading in that story, so I'll be skipping that. And we won't get to the third story until we're in the TNG era. But right now, we are at, and of course, the third story, which is set in TNG, is more concurrent and more accurate to the actual TV shows, so it'd be more in your advantage to read, because things are written in the 90s that aren't canon. I mean, well, none of it's canon, but that doesn't adhere to canon would be like the Dark Mirror book, which has an evil Picard. But the problem is that Deep Space Nine has an episode where we get to see the Mirror Universe and the Terran Empire is no longer in charge. Hence the problem. So, yeah. But anyway, today we have Age of the Empress, which takes place basically right where the story of In a Mirror Darkly, the 2-parter in Star Trek Enterprise, the TV show, ends. And it picks up like right after that. And we get to see Empress Sato in charge of the Empire. And to Paul trying to work for the Rebellion, or what's there, the Rebellion, because this is Star Wars now. We also get to see Shran, evil Shran. Again, this is all stuff that would have been amazing to see in Season 5 if we had ever gotten it. And he has his own little coup to take over the Empire. And I don't want to get too much more into it than that, but it was really fun. I have a couple things to mention, but I don't want to really get into it. But it's really, I really like it. And I do think it's worth your time. It feels a lot like those In a Mirror Darkly episodes, so I do recommend it. It's a lot of fun. Also, after you read Age of the Empress, there was another short story book titled Star Trek Mirror Universe, Shards and Shadows, which is, instead of only 3 short stories that are more little mini novellas, it's a really, really big collection of shorts. But the short story is the first one in here. It's by Dave Dorn. And this is basically a Tucker, Mirror Universe Tucker-centric episode. This is also like 5 to 10 years after the end of the Age of the Empress short story. And augments, like Khan and everything, are legal. There is a clone of Archer that Hoshi made at the end of the last story. And Trip is tortured, continuously so, and being put into these mind palace fake things to get information from. It's actually really, really sad. And this is the last story we have in this era, as of right now. So that's a very depressing end for Trip. But then again, if we're counting Terra Prime as the final episode of Season 4 of Enterprise and not These Are the Voyages, then it also ends on a very downer note. But this is not going to be too long. These were just a bunch of short stories. I just want to say, like, the Age of the Empress thing, it said it was written by Dayton Ward and Kevin Dillmore, but stories by Mike Sussman, who I'm pretty sure is a writer in the actual TV show, because that name sounds familiar. And it really feels like an episode. Like, all the characters feel like themselves, or at least their mirror universe counterparts. And, like, it just feels right. And this won't affect canon or this alternative timeline because it's in the mirror universe timeline, and it's too early to contradict Discovery. There might be some stories later on that contradict, but this can't really contradict Discovery because Discovery is like closer to TOS era. So if you wanted like another story set in the mirror universe, right after Hoshi took control, these two stories would be the stories for you. But that's pretty much it. Next time I talk about Star Trek, it'll be about an actual like full-on novel that retcons Trip's death in Kobayashi Maru. So, or that might be later. But basically, we'll get more stories set during Enterprise. And I don't know when that will be. I look forward to it. But if you want something short, that won't take you very long, that's only like $10 on Kindle, I recommend the Glass Empire's short story collection. Again, the second story is kind of null and void because they made an entire novel of the same name that's based off the same premise but more in depth with more details. So you really don't need that short story anymore. But if you want a sequel to that In a Mirror Darkly episode, this is the story for you. Well, until next time, guys, boldly go where no one has gone before. Till next time.